Alright, bad bitches, good morning. And also to all the other people, hi, I guess. Get the fuck off my channel if you're bad. And the kiss was for those who are good. Now, what really makes someone good or bad in the eyes of other people? Some people say, oh, you have to be someone who's chaste and pure, and you're not a slut, you don't do drugs, this, or that. That's what makes someone good. And bad people steal and thieve and rob and blackmail and manipulate and do this and do that. But that's a little bit too black and white. Me, I exist in a nice little moral gray area where it just depends on like who you talk to. There's some people where if you said my name, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, we love her. She baked me cookies and stuff." Like whenever I have an issue, she will let me talk about it to her for hours without getting tired of me. She's always there for me. She always is searching for like resolutions to my problems. She's really sweet. And then there's other people that run in fucking terror when they see me in public. And if I'm in the same room, they quickly exit. Like, I've been threatened with uh how many restraining orders? I think like 8 times, or is it five? And then the three are just kind of like, either way, not the best thing. But I still give a fuck about people. I still care about people at my fucking core. Like, really. I remember a nigga pissed me off. I texted him his own address. He had no idea how I got that information. He got scared shitless. But guess what? He immediately went from being a fuckboyish asshole to like venting to me about his emotions and shit. And we talked for like hours. And then we were like really good friends for like a few months because he was like, you know what? This chick is really fucking cool. I love talking to Tomie. She's awesome. There are some businesses I can't go back to because they're like, yeah, we saw your Yelp reviews, bitch. And there are some businesses that have loved me for years and always know me to be a sweet girl. Some people would describe me as flawed but lovable and a little bit or a lot of bit crazy, but still very much an endearing, charming person. Some people might just be like, yeah, that's a crackheaded ass bitch who loses her fucking mind all the time. She's like, you never know what you're gonna get with her. Stay away from her if you're smart. Now, this is how I feel about certain characters in media. Like, I used to always question why the fuck would someone like a villain in a show? Why would you like a villain? Like, what makes people want to fuck serial killers in famous TV shows or like this type of manipulator or that manipulator? Some people can brush it off as, well, what can you say? They have charm, they have swagger, they're very pretty, they're very confident. Like, you can recognize that they're fucked up, but you gotta admit, like, they do have the it factor that makes you just want to watch what they do next. Like when you pop up and see them on screen, you fucking adore them. And I kind of understand that. Like, I didn't understand it at first, but as time went on, it's like, yeah, that's how I feel about Gabrielle Solis in Desperate Housewives. She was an annoying fucking cunt and a bitch. And also pedophilic and disgusting because she was fucking a 16-year-old, 17-year-old on the show canonically. Like, that's her whole thing for like the first like season or two of the show. And I knew that she was a fucked up bitch. It's like you have a wealthy husband who seemingly loves you and everything you could ever want, and you're cheating on him. And she starts all this other shit with people in the area. And I just think to myself, that is messy and sloppy, but god damn is she gorgeous. When I see Toni Childs in motherfucking Girlfriends, if you haven't seen Girlfriends, you should watch it. It's actually really fucking funny as a show. Like, I remember I watched her like endlessly when I was getting like out of a breakup, and she healed me because she was just someone who was just like, was she a bitch at times? Absolutely. She was vile. She was narcissistic. She treated her friends like fucking pawns and only needed them when she wanted to make herself feel good and look good. Like, she wasn't a good person. But guess what? She always had the best jewelry, had the best makeup, best hair laid, swagged out as fuck, charming, funny, vivacious. Anytime, like, no offense, if the show did not have Toni, it would be Joan's boring ass being a buzzkill and a fucking cunt all the time. You'd have the little light skinned girl who's like basically homeless and also a piece of shit. And then you'd have Maya, and Maya's cool, but she's stupid and likes broke niggas, and I don't respect that. It's like, okay, how many times are you gonna keep going after this man? Like, you know he's bad for you. Fuck him. I know you got a past, but bitch, focus on your future. What you had was history. And it should be history, as in forgotten, long lost. Like, not to be discovered again for a long time until you look back on books about it and you go, oh yeah, that fucked up shit happened. Whoa, let's not have that happen again. Toni was the glue that held it all together. She was the flair, the pop. She was the equivalent of fireworks on 4th of July. Sometimes you need characters that add spice to your life. Like, they're kind of like human holidays, where like everyone else is just every other boring day of the rest of the fucking year. You need human holidays on your TV shows and in your movies that make people feel like invigorated when you see them. Now, another one for me that I really love is Ginger from Casino, and I've been kind of reflecting on why I love her so much. Because Sharon Stone's character, Ginger, in the movie Casino, off the bat, she's like this gorgeous woman. She like has everyone in the room like is drawn to her energy, a magnet to her allure, like dripped in jewels, hair perfectly curled and shiny. And you just look at her and you're like, damn, she's glamorous. But you also know she's stealing chips from her male customers, like the guys that she's swindling. And then when she doesn't get her way, she throws a massive tantrum. She throws that man's chips that he so called earned with her good luck all over the casino, and she gets away with it scot free, even when the head of the fucking casino catches her, causing the biggest shitstorm ever. Why? Because she had the right charming eyes and the nice smile. And she swings her hair the right way. And the next thing you know, that nigga's buying her diamond brooches and giving her $100 just to simply go to the fucking bathroom. Like, she had such a hold on any man. Even in the movie, they say Ginger was the type of woman where she could keep you up for like days on end without any fucking sleep and send you home penniless without taking any clothes off. And a part of me is just like, God damn, girl. Because, there's women out there who can't even get their man to get them like some fucking clearance fucking rotting flowers from CVS. And then there's girls like Ginger who walk around wearing fucking diamonds, VVS. Hey, that rhymes. And sometimes you just wonder, like, how does it feel to be someone who has, like, most people are wallflowers or introverts or keep to themselves, like, mediocre, or at best, like, average. What's it called? What's that thing they call Peter Parker? Mild mannered, I think. Something like that. Just simply put, just medium level. Like, they're not pathetically sad, they're just average. They walk around, they live their life, they don't cause a fuss, usually, and they don't really do anything interesting. So sometimes you meet someone where it's like, why are you full of rage? Why are you so, like, how did you get that way? How can you just, like, run over a room with your conversation like that? Why do you look so good? What's the skin routine? What's your life like? What's your story? You have this aura to you that everyone wants. And so even if a person's a bad person, like even if they're causing scenes in casinos or making niggas fight or do this or do that, it's still like, wow, you do something that a majority of people can't. You really have something there, and it's scary but fascinating, and I want to watch more of it. And seeing her throughout the rest of the movie depressed me, but recently I have been watching that as a comfort movie after getting out of a fucked up relationship, because if you look more into Ginger's character, it's like from a young age, like she basically, she met her pimp ex boyfriend Lester when she was like 12 or 14 or something. She had braces and a schoolgirl outfit on, and he saw her and decided this is a girl who probably has a fucked up home life. I'm going to be a disgusting pedophile and basically be her first everything and groom her and make her feel worthless and tell her that the only way she can have any value to him is if she swindles men on his behalf and gives him like most if not all of the fucking money. And the scene that I think I really resonated with was the part, like, I don't agree with any of Ginger's actions the entire fucking movie, excluding like, it's like, okay, her being a high roller who manages to make men spend money on her using just her charms, I'm totally fine with that. But in terms of like child endangerment, alcoholism, coke usage, I thought, damn, bitch, you have it all. Why are you squandering it away? But we know why. Because she was molested as a child. Because then she was like basically sex trafficked, if you really think about it. And then she was basically trained like, see men as pawns. Every single man you meet is a pawn, a trick, a wallet. Utilize them as much as you can and fucking never give it up. She learned all about like male psychology, this, and that. But for the one person who she couldn't have a hold on, the predator, Lester, he's the one who has such a death grip on her. He formed her into who she was. So it makes sense that it's like everyone else gets the facade perfect version, the Ginger who is undeniable and like bulletproof. And then meanwhile, knows that at her core she still is the scared 14-year-old girl who just like is getting pimped out and manipulated by a guy who absolutely fucking hates her and like is just using her as an asset and a tool, but doesn't truly love her. She's still chasing after his love, and she does for a big portion of the movie. It's so fucking sad. And that part where like on her own wedding day she should be having such a glorious day, shouldn't she? But no, she's marrying a man who she doesn't love and who doesn't truly love her. He's just obsessed with the idea of her. Throughout the movie he doesn't even do that good of a job of comforting her Like he did, like it's like he didn't go, hey, I have a lot of money, here's some therapy. He didn't go, hey, like what happened to you when you were young didn't deserve to happen to you, that was fucked up. No, if anything, he just kind of brushes the shit off of what happened to her, so she doesn't even know how fucking bad she went through was. And that frustrates me. And so that scene where she's just like in her wedding outfit with her veil on, just basically crying into a phone, and like Lester's just saying like, "Oh, I'm always with you. You're me. You're a piece of me. You're always going to be me, and I'm always going to be with you." Blah blah blah, and then basically even emotionally and verbally degrading her on the phone, and that broke my fucking heart because it's just like I can sympathize with it being really hard to leave someone who you know is bad for you, no matter fucking what. I've been that girl. I've been the girl that has talked my friends' ears off about men and heard a million reasons why I should leave them, and then sadly went back because I was afraid of being alone and I had a fucked up circumstance. And I couldn't realize that I had a lot of abundance around me and that didn't need to be rooted in him. I didn't realize that for a long time. Like, multiple relationships, even my last fucking relationship, that guy was fucked up. But I didn't leave off the bat because while I could recognize this is the guy who does inappropriate things to you while you're trying to sleep, he keeps you up all night, he says fucked up things to you when he's mad. He's threatened you with violence before. He's not a good man. He's a terrible fucking person. He's racist. He's this, he's that. But at some point he was my best fucking friend. He was the closest guy during really hard times. I could talk to him for hours and hours on end, like throughout his entire shift at work on the phone, just talking to him about anything, and it would feel euphoric and like a blast, like 4th of July, each fucking phone call. I adored that man. It took a long time to leave him. Thankfully, not as long as it did for Morgan, but similar for Morgan. Funny enough, I guess the analogy fits because with Morgan, it was the same way. If you have a very dull, boring life, or a depressing life, and you meet someone who feels like a human escape, even if it's not a good escape, it's still an escape. Because whether it was the times where Morgan was taking me out for Italian food and gifting me big bouquets and jewelry, and we would have these amazing moments like during sex or joking around with each other or be having heart to hearts, and it would be cathartic and freeing, and like we'd go off of each other's energies and just bounce off of each other and feel euphoric like a fucking roller coaster ride. But the dip would always dip too fucking low, and the next thing you know, then it's like, oh, he's putting his hands on me. Oh, he's not letting me leave his car despite like how unsafe he's making me feel. Oh, he's doing manipulation tactics, and I know he is, but I'm just offended that he thinks he even needs to do that because I already like him. Oh, why is this happening? Why is that happening? And then it just came to a head of how bad it could get. And that's something that I regret, is that I couldn't leave sooner, but I felt like I couldn't. Because when you're with someone for so long and you have something that feels like you have never had it with someone else ever before them, or that you might not get it again, especially for a really long fucking time, like a once in a lifetime type of person, it's gonna be really fucking hard to leave. So it's kind of ironic that Ginger was that to Sam in the movie Casino. Sam did not want to give up on Ginger, even though, like, he could see it's like this girl has everything you could want, a fuck ton of money, a fuck ton of this, a fuck ton of that. And instead, she's doing endless amounts of like cocaine and endless amounts of alcohol, and she's neglecting our child, and she's just being fucking pathetic and not getting over some busted ass nigga who can't give her even fucking 1/12 of what I can at best. Like, and but the Lester was that to Ginger. Ginger was caught in a web because she had seen potential and fantasy in him that wasn't there. He was just some rotting dirt grub, and but she really was hooked on this man. And I sympathize with her heavily because sometimes I feel that way. Sometimes I'm able to charm a person and get whatever I want so effortlessly and make them fall in love with me without having to do very much. Other times I'm the one crying into my fucking phone, into someone's voicemail, being a mess, being ridiculous, and ignoring all the beauty I have in my life because I made a person my world. That shouldn't have been. So I sympathize with Ginger from Casino. Now, on to the next one. Another good one is Pearl. This is a classic one that people love, especially about movies about like girl bosses or female beige. I like that one a lot because during most of the movie, I thought Pearl is just a brat. She's an ungrateful brat. It's like, yes, I get it. You're depressed working on a farm, and your mother has a stick up your fucking ass. But then I remember after I watched the full movie and that amazing, like, 7 minute uncut dialogue that Mia Goth gave, that gave her so much more fullness in character. It's like, oh shit, she went through a fucking lot. And then you kind of realize it's like, I see why she lost her fucking mind. A whole boring life isolated with no one else on a fucking farm. You finally meet someone who you think can sweep you away into a life of wealth and luxury and fun. And instead, no, he decides to go off to some bumfuck war. And when he had the chance to stay back and love you and take care of you and your fucking unborn child, no, he chose to go off to war. And then because of the circumstances, like, you have to be stuck at home with the same family you were trying to escape, losing your mind even fucking more than before. Like, imagine the shit you went through, like postpartum depression, especially after having birth to a stillborn or killing the baby. I forget which one it was. I think it was a stillborn. That's not fucking, that would fuck up anyone's mind, especially the mind of someone who seems like they're like teenaged or something, or 20 at best. And all she wants to do is like be a dancer or a singer or an actor and just have a nice life, but she can't even fucking try on a dress in her mom's closet that her mom hasn't worn in fucking years and dance around quietly and privately in a mirror without her mom throwing a bitch fit. She has to toil every fucking day, work every fucking day, care for her dad, who basically doesn't show any human emotion, is not the same man he was before. Her mother is just like her worst fucking nightmare. I remember after I watched that movie, I poured out to a friend about how I understand Pearl. Was Pearl fucked up in a lot of ways? Yes. But I listed out the millions and millions of ways that the mother fucked up. The mother could have done 10 times better for her child. Like, if you know your daughter's losing her fucking mind, then why would you, like, I don't know, one can be like, ooh, her mother was like German and probably in their culture it's not good to show emotions or do this or do that. That's no fucking excuse, because now you're in America where it's like people show emotions all the time. I don't know, it's like I don't like people who do tough love because they think it's going to make their kids stronger. Like, what boils an egg will soften a potato. Not everyone needs the same fucking treatment, because not like, so yeah, there's some people you gotta give tough love to. There's some people you gotta be soft for because the world's already a tough fucking place. They don't need toughness at home when they need softness. So it's like, hey girl, guess what? You can, like, as long as you help me out with the farm and do this and do that, I'll let you try on all my clothes, all my jewelry, all that. If anything, like, what I would have done if I was the mother in the Pearl movie is that if fucking Pearl said herself, I just want to go out and dance at this audition. And if I fail, then I will come back home and I will always be at this farm. I would have let her go out and do it. Because if my daughter's already kind of useless around the farm, if I'm already doing everything myself, if I already am kind of tired of her and her shenanigans, and if she's getting to the point where she might harm her dad, or if she, yeah, it's like at this point, you should be happy that your crazy ass, like your crazy ass daughter is trying not to kill barnyard animals and or your family. All she wants to do is dance and sing. Guess what? Let her go out and dance and sing. And then she says, I'll come back and work on the farm for the rest of my fucking life. Then let her have that chance. And if she fails, just hug her and just, I don't know. There's a lot the mother could have done. She chose to be vicious and cruel. It's no wonder Pearl came out the way she did, honestly. Like, there's no excuses for certain behaviors. Yeah, she didn't need to kill that fucking geese. She didn't need to do a lot of shit she did. Like, really. Like massive abandonment issues and fear and terror, and she needed some excitement and loved way too hard for certain people and felt too strongly of emotions in a place where, like, in a time period and place where emotions cannot be felt so strongly, especially if you're a woman. And like, constant travesty. I just feel bad that things had to be the way they did for her. And that part at that table where she really just is like crying and venting out about how she's flawed and how she feels like she wasn't meant to be in the world, and how she feels like it's hard to like keep people around. It's hard to like be good, and she tried so hard to be good and to like push down her mental illnesses and push down her feelings and cope with her reality, but it was getting hard. And like she just wanted to be loved and she didn't feel like she got that. And there's more to say, but just that really rung to me. And also it's like, the several scenes where it's like, oh, if I didn't do anything wrong, I don't understand, why don't you like me? And then crying at the top of her lungs and screaming and begging people to stay and being afraid to lose others. Simply put, if you've watched my channel for a while, I'm sure you can guess exactly why I sympathize with that so much. Because how many times have I made videos on here where I've had friendships where I'm the therapist friend, and if I'm not, like, if I dare to show my emotion or do this or do that, suddenly I'm not like, mm. Let's get off this character before I get a little too depressed. Another character I like, Daniella from Haunting Ground. If you've never heard of the game Haunting Ground, it's a very good game. It was made roughly in like 2004. It's a Japanese Nintendo game. It's basically, if you want to play it, like, there might be some emulator games you can get, but simply put, most games, like, it costs $400 fucking dollars because Nintendo's a fucking cunt and they don't want to actually like resell. It's a long story. Let's just say it's a discontinued game that you can't find anywhere unless you want to shell out massive funds, and even then you have to pray you don't get the Japanese version. But it follows the story around this girl, I forget her name, let's call her Violet. And Violet just basically gets into a car accident with her family on her 18th birthday. And then she like wakes up naked in this castle and she has to like fight against multiple different villains. Like one guy is this guy who seems like a Down syndrome coded character who seems to like viciously beat her without a second thought. This, it's like, I don't know, they did, that's the only character I have a real issue with in the game, but the other characters are more layered and interesting. The whole game is just symbolic for like how misogyny is, how the world is a very terrifying place to be if you're a woman, especially a young woman, because you're going to be sexualized, you're going to be lusted after, and basically people want to fucking kill you if they can't treat you like a sex object or a room, like, or just like a body or a vessel. And they have this thing that they call, I believe, the Azoth in the game. It's symbolic. Like they say that, ooh, Violet has the Azoth in her room. And so, like, this evil bad villain in the game basically kidnapped you and killed your family. Basically, because, and staged it to be a car crash because he was like, I need to kidnap this girl, and he's like a alchemist, and he basically is like, I need to fuck her and get her pregnant because the Azoth that lives in her room will lead to a new generation to get, like, strengthen me and make my lineage more powerful and make me more powerful, blah blah blah. It's basically all of it's symbolic, and if this sounds weird, well, it's a fucking Nintendo game. All of them are weird. Mario is a weird game in general. Why are you a plumber trying to save a fucking princess from a monkey and a dragon? Like, what the, how, and why are you throwing turtle shells at people? How the fuck does that work? Anyway, Haunting Ground is a great, very edgy game. If you're someone who likes Resident Evil or Silent Hill, I highly recommend you get into it. But there's one of the villains in the game is called Daniella, and I sympathize with Daniella a lot because she's basically the only other woman in the game. And she's like this, like, some can say she's autism coded, and I believe that, but simply put, it's like, hey, she's this girl who's just like anxious, and like she's always like emotionless. She doesn't feel anything. She's basically like, every time you see her, she's depressed. A thing with her is that like she was created by the main antagonist in the game because he was trying to make his idea of the perfect woman. So he made Daniela. He said, let me make a woman who is so beautiful and so perfect. Like big titties, perfect hips, snatched waist. Lets me fuck, lets me do whatever, cleans my house, does all my errands, does everything perfect. But he'd made this like with alchemy and it didn't have the necessary ingredient of Azoth. So basically, he made like a vessel. He made what looks like a woman, talks like a woman, but doesn't fully act like a woman in the way he wanted to. There's no charm or allure there. He just is like, ah, fuck. Like, basically, he sees her as like a sex doll that does chores, a bang maid. And he hates her because she doesn't have any emotions. She doesn't cry when he slaps her. She doesn't even react. She doesn't feel anger. She doesn't feel joy or happiness. She doesn't smile. He basically doesn't see any inherent sweetness in her. And then on top of that, she can't bear kids. So he basically is like, oh, so she's fucking useless. And he basically, after just like abusing her relentlessly, sexually and physically, he got bored of her because he thought he wanted some emotionless sex doll that didn't feel anything. But really, no. And so she was made out of like his ideal male fantasy, and he hated her for it, despite her being everything that he thought she wanted. And he especially hated that she couldn't get pregnant either, even though some would see that as a benefit because men are fucking perverts. But he hated it because he specifically wants to continue on his lineage. So he basically just keeps her around. And then you know what happens? He stages the main character in the game. He kills that chick's parents and then locks her in the castle. And then basically tells Daniela, guess what? This is your new master. And then here you are, this like shivering, like barely 18-year-old who's fucking terrified, naked in a castle. It's like, imagine you've been in a castle for like all of your fucking life. All you've known is pain and terror and awfulness and being told you're worthless. You're not what a woman is. You're not, you're fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You aren't giving into my ideals. And then you're being treated like shit. And then suddenly the man who's been abusing you for years just pops up out of nowhere like, oh, hey, I found this scrawny teenager who like has no self-respect and self-esteem and is fucking shivering like a little wet kitten. You have to take care of her. She's better than you. So it's no wonder why Daniela snapped. In the game, like, she tries to be decent and tolerable, you know, but deep down she resents the male character, Violet. She's like, ooh, because deep down it's like this bitch has supposedly what I don't. She's supposedly better than me, but I don't see why. And, Daniela is like trying to stay cool and collected about it, but she's just like, it would fuck you up. Like, imagine you're fucking gorgeous, like you're a supermodel, and then someone brings home, I don't know, like some Anna Kendrick looking teenager and is like, here's this, or like, here, this girl's better than you, take care of her for the rest of your life and treat her amazingly in the way that I never did. You'd be kind of fucked up too. Like, I'm trying to really sell it, but to continue on so this video doesn't get too long, Daniela from Haunting Ground, she specifically, seeing her snap makes sense. And like, she targets Fiona because she doesn't realize she can target her own oppressors. But I get why she doesn't, because those are also really, really powerful men, really strong men, and they're the men she's probably subconsciously most afraid of because they're the ones who gave her life and can probably take her out of it easily with a fucking fireball or whatever. It's not like, and so instead, she does what most women who are pick-me's or who feel insecure about themselves do when they're faced with the threat, especially if the threat is another woman. They take the anger out on the woman. So it's actually hinted in the game that she may have even fed the main character, Violet, her own parents. Like, because it's hinted that the angel hair pasta has actual blonde hair in the game, and Violet's mom had blonde hair. And there's chunks of meat in the dinner, and it's like, you can tell that's not chicken noodle soup. So Violet leaves dinner early. But simply put, even Daniela goes on this monologue that says, I was crafted to be a perfect woman. I'm not supposed to think, I'm not supposed to feel, I'm just supposed to be. But I'm not enough. You, so, you have everything I need. You're supposedly better. I feel nothing. And maybe at some point Daniela did feel emotions, but they weren't harnessed well because she was around evil fucking men who treated her like shit. And there's things that strike a chord with me about this character. Something about the way where, like, in the game, when you're running away from Daniela and she's trying to kill you, she will look at her, if you're around any mirror, she will stop to look at herself in the mirror and admire herself, but then also wonder what the fuck is so wrong with her so that she can't be loved. And why was she born in this body? Why did she have to be there? She didn't ask to exist. And she will just do this bloody, terrifying fucking scream and crash out really hard and bang her head into walls because she can't stand that she was born to be alive with such a cruel fate and made to not feel, to not be. And so she tries to also kill the main character, Violet, because she basically, there is an actual end game you can get where like Daniela does kill Violet and then basically extracts the Azov, aka like carves out the main character's womb. It's disturbing, but it's symbolic, I guess, for how she really wants to be treated, like, femininely, nicely. She wants to be treated well, like a goddess, and praised and get the good treatment. So she thinks if I kill this little stupid ass teenage girl, I can get everything I fucking want and suddenly be loved and admired and adored again, regardless of the scars on my body, regardless of my lack of emotion. Maybe if I hurt this girl, I can finally be seen as worthy. Maybe I can finally have the it factor that I need to be loved in the eyes of these men who hurt me endlessly. I understand her. I understand how that feels in so many ways. I didn't ask to be born either. I didn't ask to be seen as an object of lust. I didn't ask to be tossed to the side or abused or seen as difficult whenever I wasn't perfect. I never really had the experience of being like purely jealous over women, until, or like when I was younger, like I did kind of envy that it's like, oh, just because my hair doesn't look perfect to you or my skin isn't perfect, suddenly you have to compare me to all these other women who I don't want to compare myself to in the first place. I never took it too personally, but I did just kind of get resentful and spiteful of, I have a lot to offer. Why are you treating me bad, and what do they have that I don't? And like that can really fuck up a mind, especially of a young girl. But I didn't let it get to me. I always knew my worth. But I did also have times when I was younger, also because of the abuse my parents gave me, where I would look at childhood photos of me and I would just cry or want to scream or kill myself. Or sometimes I thought even fucked up things like, actually, I don't even want to say the thought I just had. It's a little too fucked up, and I'm trying to be relatable today. But I just thought to myself, like, why would someone see such a beautiful little girl, so skinny, so fragile, and so frail and afraid, and choose to hurt her in the way they did? They never had to do any of that to me, ever. Why the fuck wasn't I loved in the way I needed to be loved? I would have came out so perfect if I was just loved. It's okay. On the plus side, I am still perfect. Traumatized, sure, but you know, have you ever heard of that Japanese style of like porcelain fixing kintsugi, where you break, like if a vase gets broken on accident, you get some gold and then you seal it with gold to fill in all of the cracks, and then you have a whole new piece. It's still beautiful in the way it was before, and you can tell it was broken, but it's sealed in the cracks with gold. That's kind of like how I feel about myself. I'm someone who's been broken before, but it's okay because I picked my pieces up and I added beauty in places where other people might not find beauty, and I left it regardless. And yeah, sometimes I watch movies where I'm just with these female villains and I'm like, I understand you. Like, for example, the Orphan movie. Like, I learned about her really fucked up lore with her dad actually within the past, like, 2 years. But already for the original Orphan movie, it's like, okay, here's someone who was young and mentally unstable, living in and out of asylums and shit. And, like, possibly getting mistreated because you know how asylums were for people way back in the day already. So if you had mental illness and you were being mistreated by motherfuckers, you would not heal. You would get worse. Like, no offense, even at a normal hospital, you can find nurses who are fucking cunts. Imagine if you were disabled or neurodivergent and it was really severe. And then you were in a time period where they could do whatever the fuck they want to you because you're just in, like, some bumfuck place in Russia where no one cares about you at all. Like, they could do anything to you and they will be brutal about it. No wonder that girl, the villain in the Orphan movie, came out the way she did. But also, like, yeah, she grew up with age, and just, it's like, okay, you're stuck in the body of a little girl, but you're actually 30 fucking years old. Like, and you just want to be loved. You just want someone who's going to treat you nicely and love you after so much fucking hardship. I understand that. You want to be lusted after. You probably want some dick. But you can't because you look like an 8-year-old or a 12-year-old with weird face syndrome at best. I understand. And you don't have proper socialization skills on top of that. It's like, I imagine you wouldn't be a magnet to good people. I'm not saying that the stupid bitch should have decided, ooh, I'm gonna dress up as an 8-year-old girl and put myself in foster care systems and just, like, try to kill off family members before I can, like, fuck someone's dad, or like, she didn't need to do all that. She really didn't. Like, I don't know, that's like a lot of effort for like the wrong outcome. It's like, because it's like she either could have, one, just been adopted normally and then, like, awkwardly been 30, but, like, living out being, like, 8 with, like, a family that loves her and, like, friends and trying her best to be socialized in a way she never was before. And then it's like, that school would have covered that mental health program for that little girl if they detected something, you know? Well, even though they didn't stop the bullying. Okay. Anyway. It's like, I don't know, Esther in the movie Orphan was highly intelligent but misguided. And I guess that's how you're noticing a trend in these characters I like. It's like, bitch, you didn't need to do all that. Like, I'm just saying. Like, you did not need to do all that. She deserved better, but frankly, she did a bunch of stupid shit, and that's why she got the end result she got. Like, no one asked her to harm those children. No one asked her to try to fuck that kid's dad. No one asked, like, she's strange. But a part of me, and also learning her lore, is that I guess from a young age she was sexually abused by her father, like repeatedly, from like being like a toddler all the way to when she was like maybe like 14 or 16 or something. You can imagine how that would have deep effects on her subconscious. Even worse, supposedly her lore is that her dad eventually comes home with a mistress, or not a mistress, but like that's what they say on the Wikipedia page, basically a prostitute. And then like he's basically like, cool, this is my new wife, you have to take care of her now, she has everything that you can't because you can't give me what I want. Esther fucking snaps and kills them both, because it's like, oh, you spent all your life tormenting me, and then also being the only person I'm supposed to see as like someone who loves me, and you fucked me up, and now I'm just expected to just cater to someone new and watch her have everything I fucking want, and I'm supposed to give it to her too, and I now get mistreated by two people? Yeah, no wonder Esther fucking snapped. I'm not saying anything else she did was good. I'm just saying I feel really severely bad for her. She deserved better. And that makes me sad all the fucking time. Now, this one is a little complex. Amy Dune from Gone Girl. I'll put it to you this way. The monologue she did really spoke to a lot of women. Like, why are we trying so hard for men that don't try for us? And Amy was like, I will try. Like, you know, Amy was basically showing that she will try to be her absolute best. The cool girl. The girl with the waxed pussy who drinks beer and doesn't complain and is not like other girls and is the perfect pick me, the perfect feminine everything you could ever want in a person. And she was down to continue that facade for the rest of her life if it meant that she could have the man she wanted. But the man she wanted gave up. He got lazy, uninspiring, assholey, shitty, disgusting, and fucked up. And then, even worse, like, he then cheats on her with one of his, like, teenage students or college aged. Just some big titty bitch who's really sexy, undeniably. And that pisses Amy off. And so, also, her husband is truly a terrible person. It's like, you're gonna give her divorce papers on your fucking anniversary? You know your wife is missing and you don't call the cops? You find out your wife is missing and you take a fucking photo smiling next to her missing person poster? If I, like, I see why Amy hated, like, I see why Amy hated that man so fucking much that she was like, you know what? Life's not worth living. I'm gonna stage this dude to look like he fucking murdered me before I finally kill myself. Because fuck this living as a woman shit. This shit sucks. I hate everybody, everything. And like, I see why she was like, I'm gonna fucking kill myself and frame you. I'm gonna frame you for it. Go to jail. Suffer. Everybody hates you because you killed the perfect fucking woman. I see why she did that. And if you're like, to me, that's fucked up. Yeah, it's fucked up. I like it though. It's like, I'm not saying it's good that she did it, but I kind of understand. Like, me and my estranged sibling at the time, when we watched that movie, we were like, yeah, we do. They, like, we both were like, yeah, we understand. And so many other girls I knew in high school, when they saw that movie, they were like, yes, we fully understand, Amy. Oh my fucking god. So, but Amy, I guess, I don't know. Maybe she just, I don't know. I kind of forget the last part with her, but I think eventually she just was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to my scumbag ugly husband. But I'm just gonna make him look really fucking terrible in case he tries to leave me, so that he looks even worse. Because I guess in her, and I guess in this world's mind, it's like, you know what's worse than like being like, she does come back and whatnot. It is funny that she comes back just to be like, hey, cool. If you try to leave me now, you scum sucking, ugly fucking Ben Affleck looking piece of shit, everyone's gonna hate you because I was raped and kidnapped by this dude and impregnated, and you want to divorce me? Everyone's gonna drag the shit out of you, and you're gonna lose everything unless you're with me. So now I hold all the cards. I determine the fate of your life. Keep that in mind. So you're gonna be with me and this new fucking baby I have. Like, that's evil, but I love it. That's really fucked up, and I love it. Mwah. There's another character, my favorite one, Tomie Kawakami. I believe that's her last name. From the Junji Ito series Tomie. She deserved a lot better than she got. You know why? She was a sexual assault victim. She was groomed by her adult teacher. She was like, what, like 14 or so? In the fucking, like, first episode of her, like, or the first saga. Like, and you know, that man was like, ooh, I love you, I want you. And he fucked this, raped this, like, child. And so she walked around like she was hot shit, specifically because it's like, ooh, I got attention from an older man. He adores me. It's perfect. And like, and then you know what this older man decides to do when he's afraid that she might get pregnant or something? He doesn't this, like, he could do anything else. He could do abortion. I don't know. I mean, he probably shouldn't have done anything in the first place. He should have been a fucking normal teacher, not someone who grooms a fucking teenage girl to have sex with him. A fucking child. She didn't deserve that. Instead, like when she trips and falls off the side of the cliff on that field trip, he tells all of the other like 39 students, like, hey, guess what? Hey, didn't you see her boyfriend push her in a jealous rage? You don't want to get him in trouble, do you? Guess what? I just so happen to have a buzzsaw. And then they all just kind of just collectively are like, oh yeah, we didn't like Tomie anyway. She thinks she's better than us. She didn't think she was better than you. And even if she did, she was like 14, bitch. It's like, really. It's like she was getting groomed by her teacher and fucked. But even regardless, I kind of noted that those hoes were hating even before, like, she was, like, they were just hating on her just because she was pretty. Just because she kept to herself more often and didn't want to play fucking Foursquare. They were like, oh, this girl's a fucking cunt. No, because guess what? I've been pretty and quiet before because I'm autistic. And you know what people do? They decide, oh, she's a fucking cunt. She thinks she's better than all of us. And it's like, no, bitch, you're sitting all the way across the classroom and we've had no opportunity to introduce ourselves. Don't take out your weird little jealous, insecure bullshit on me. Like, bitch, I don't know you. You haven't introduced yourself to me. I haven't introduced myself to you. We have had no opportunity to meet, and instead you're just like, this girl probably thinks she's better than us. And then if you ask them why, they'll just say, I don't know, I just get that feeling. No, you're just insecure because I was like a fucking 15-year-old that just dressed really well for my age and was actually like really good at getting good grades and kept to myself. And it's like, if you really like, they had no, to this day, none of them have any experiences where they can say anything bad that happened to me. Some of them tried to atone for it later in high school when they kind of realized, oh no, Tamia is not like viciously mean or evil or a cunt. She's just quiet and autistic, and there's nothing wrong with her. And it turns out we've just been being cunts this whole time, and they tried to like make up to me in their own way or talk to me or whatever. And it was just disappointing. It was like, I don't know, I deserved that treatment a lot fucking sooner. You should have not been. Even random bitches. Random bitches would just be like, I'm gonna beat her ass later just to look cute in front of the boys. It's like, ma'am, we aren't in the same grade. I've never met you. Are you like, what the fuck is up with you? Teenagers can be weird, but you can tell in the Tomie series they're especially weird because they see this girl fall off of a cliff, and at first some of them are sad, but then other ones are like, hey, serves her right. We don't like her anyway. She was kind of stuck up. Like, fuck, it's like she didn't do shit to y'all though. She didn't do fucking shit to any of you. And then basically they're just like, yeah, you know what? We should protect this boy who just like full on killed this fucking girl in front of us unneededly. So, not like it's like, yeah, let's protect this boy that hurt this girl, and then all of us collectively cover it up. Those sick fucks sawed her in half and into multiple different pieces. And then guess what? As soon as they started sawing into her body, they realized she was still awake. She was just knocked out. She wasn't dead. So she wakes up And she's like, what the fuck? And at that point, they could have been like, holy shit, but instead, they just decided we should finish the job because now all of us are accomplices. They pin her down, they cover her mouth, and they kill her for good. And then saw her body up, and then they all take a piece of it home and are told to dispose it around the city to look like she just went missing on the field trip and was murdered, and to make alibis and shit. All 40 of those fake ass bitches and lame ass niggas on that fucking school field trip did that under the guise of their very creepy, disturbed, mentally ill teacher. And you want to know what else happened? Tomie came back as if nothing was wrong. She was like, it's weird. I just woke up in the woods naked. I don't know. I got my school uniform and I came to school today. Hey, everybody. Why are you lighting incense in front of a photo of me? And then next thing you know, all the kids got fucking horrified. And she just kept going up to them because I guess she had brain fog or whatever. And she was like, hey, what's up? They'd run in terror from her. But guess what? It turns out, kind of like a lizard when its tail gets cut off and like it regrows a tail. Imagine if like a lizard's tail that was severed off could also regrow an entire lizard. So something about similar to that happened. So there were basically all 40 pieces of her severed body regrew into 40 different Tomies. And they were all around the city now. And all of them were just like, so all these people would be like, I need to escape to school. Oh my god, Tomie's freaky ass was there. Isn't she dead? Are we all insane? And then they'd run into Tomie at the park and she'd be like, hi guys, what's up? And they'd be like, ah, fuck! And then they'd run. They'd be like, we're at this bridge. And then Tomie would be under the bridge like, hey guys, why am I under the bridge? Ah! And then let's just say all like 37 out of like 40 students all dropped out. Some of them killed themselves. Some of them skipped town and moved away. All of them fucked up their lives for good because they were just like, shit, this fucked us up. Oh, yeah, like all of them were traumatized, but deservingly so. It's like, yes, I hope your sins come back to haunt you because you brushed under the rug what happened to that young fucking girl. All because you were jealous of her. All because you were mad that you didn't get to be the one to date her or fuck her. All because you were stupid and you fucking let her get harmed. And at any point, you could have stopped when it got too fucking severe, but you didn't. You made an active choice to kill her. With, I'm sure most women have stories like that. I have stories like that. I got treated like shit by an entire male friend group I had because I simply left a dude for being abusive and revenge porny and all that. And that fucked up my high school life. I've dealt with that in many circles and friendships. It's not a good feeling. Also, simply put, I see why throughout the rest of the series, Tomie is a narcissist, and I see why. It's like, yeah, from a young age, you get molested by some dude who hypes your fucking head up, and then you find out, and then every single person that you ever liked in your class just decides to fucking kill you or dispose of your body, and none of them bothered to get you justice. I'd be a narcissist too. And then guess what? Throughout the series, there's multiple men who like are obsessed with her off the bat as she ages and stuff and gets older. They're like, this girl is amazingly gorgeous. She's so beautiful. She's amazing. But she could be like, no, no, I'm not interested. Oh, no, thank you. Oh, no. Like, she didn't get proper emotional regulation skills because she was fucking like 14 and like didn't have, simply put, yeah, if you were 14 and every fucking person you were ever friends with or ever loved decided to fucking end you, yeah, you wouldn't come out the best person either. If you revived, you would be on some vengeance shit. She was nice, she didn't try to kill anybody, but she definitely was spiteful. And that was bad enough to some people, because simply put, they were like, ooh, nothing's worse than a woman who's scorned. But simply put, yeah, and you can imagine her home life might have not been the best already if she got involved romantically with the teacher in the first place. So it's like she didn't have the foundation to truly like. And it seems like she did have a soul, before. She probably, like, she was a nice enough girl to have friends. And it just sucks that, like, as time progressed, she's just always by herself and always wrapped up in, like, men who will swarm her with validation and attention. You don't really see her having friends that are women anymore. Throughout the entire series, I can't really name that many times she's had friends that were women. And she gets mistreated by every single guy she's with because they get infatuated with her. But then if she did, like, she could just let them know she's not interested. They'll fucking kill her. It doesn't matter if it's a young man, old dude, none of that. They'll fucking kill her. Not to mention, because of her, like, condition as, like, a practical yokai or, like, a wandering spirit, but, like, still kind of humanoid, but still not. I imagine it's like, Kind of hard. Like, you don't have life skills, you don't have this, you don't have that, but you do have amazing beauty and people are magnets to you. Imagine if you were fated where every single person you met would fall in love with the idea of you. And if you didn't give in to that, or hell, maybe like you could be yourself around them, you could love them, adore them, they would still fucking kill you no matter what. They will kill you, they will sexually assault you, they will violate you. And this can happen with almost every single man you meet, or sometimes women. You would come out the most narcissistic, spiteful person ever. And if you knew, you couldn't avoid it, because people would still be obsessed with you with like this cult hive mind of like, Tomie, Tomie, we're obsessed with you, we love you, we want you. They just want to pull her apart. If you knew your fate at the end of the day was just every single man you meet will not care about you. They want you only for your beauty, but will give you anything in the world if you give them your time, energy, and attention. And as long as you're okay with getting murdered, but you're going to be revived no matter how vicious, then, you know, you would become the most spiteful and maybe gold digging bitch ever. So it makes sense to me that as her character progresses, she gets even more narcissistic, even more vain. Like hell, no offense, because when this happened to me too. I struggled with dating for a long time, but I was still always wanted by men. They would hound me no matter what. I'd be like, I'm celibate, I'm focusing on myself, I'm trying to heal, I'm traumatized, and it would still not stop a man from trying to fuck me, trying to stick his dick in me, trying to convince me to date him, trying to do this or that or this or that. And it got annoying, and I just basically was fucking like, listen. Like hell, I remember that's how me and Morgan actually got closer. After the first like 2 times of sex with him that went unbelievably bad, I just told him, fuck you. Either give me money or give me like a switchblade, because I need to be safe in these streets because niggas act weird around me. He got me a switchblade off the bat, no questions asked. A fancy one, $100 worth, maybe even $200 value. And we fucked like animals. And like, it's a tactic that women use. You ask them for a lot of shit to scare them off. You ask them for money or jewels or whatever, and then guess what, they give it to her. Simply put, I'd be like, yeah, fuck you, nigga, get the fuck out my face, I don't want you. And if you knew that nigga was gonna kill you if you reject him, you'd be like, fuck you unless you get me some Louboutins, fuck you unless you get me foie gras, fuck you unless you get me caviar, kill yourself unless you really 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 want to get me like a mansion and a fancy dress and this and that. It makes sense. And basically she, and in several comics with her, like, men can kill her for the dumbest reasons. Like she married this old man, and his sons, who were like close in age to her, simply got mad because she roasted them a little too hard mockingly, and so they decided the proper thing to do was fucking murder her in their living room. There's a whole fucking, there's an entire rep comic involving her where like this male model who can get any woman he wants sees her and he's like, wow, this is the most gorgeous, amazing, beautiful woman I've met in my entire fucking life. And he tries to woo her and she's just politely like, I'm not interested, sorry. He's like, please. She's like, I'm not interested. He's like, really? But I'm really so hot and successful and cool. And she's like, cool, I'm not interested, I don't want to get involved. And he hounds her down the street endlessly, 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 and she fucking hates him. And then guess what? She does what most women do when they want to get rid of guys like this. They give phone numbers, and she probably gave a real phone number because she thought, okay, at the very worst, this is a dude who's famous and has money, but he's still not worth a shit. She went out on dates with him, and then like he would be obsessed with her, she would not like him, and this made his ego flare up even more. Why doesn't she like me? I have all this money, I have all this beauty, I have all like everything, I can get anything I want. And then guess what? She fucking leaves, like, him alone. And then he begs for her back. He's like, please see me again, please see me again. She's like, it's not worth my fucking time to see you, I don't like you. He's like, don't be like that. And then over time, like, he keeps trying to impress her by like getting her diamonds, getting her money, getting her jewelry, picking her up in fancy cars with chauffeurs, and each time she's just still barely happy to be around him. And he's wondering why, and she just simply at some point, like, I think he tries to ask to marry her, and she's just like, nigga, you don't fucking know me. I don't like you. You have a shitty fucking personality. I hate you, actually. You're miserable, and you're also not fucking cute. You suck. You're a bitch. Fuck you, nigga. She says that in her language, because obviously they don't say nigga. But she, and then he hates that. And so then he's like, fuck you, bitch. You're not all that. I've met bitches better than you. I've fucked bitches better than you. You're not all that. You're hardly even like above a 6. And he goes off. She's like, fuck you then, and leaves. Now, This next part, now that I'm like, I've read more of the Tomie comics and I know how she can control men, like, it is possible. Like, in the comic, he does get his face scarred up and scratched up by a dude with a knife. And the dude with the knife specifically is like, hey, you're like Joji Tamagotchi, right? And then he's like, yeah. And then he gets his face like scratched up and disfigured, so he can't really model anymore because his face is like scarred up really deep between multi levels of muscle, you know? Now, I'll put it to you like this: Tomie most likely probably arranged that, you know, just to be petty and say fuck you, nigga. But there also could be a chance that she didn't, because like in this comic, it also is addressed that like plenty of women fucking hate him because he's like a fucking asshole, like who's a misogynist and treats women like shit. But at some point, you know, he loses his job and like he doesn't make as much money and his face is fucked up and he's like, I really want to see Tomie again. She's the only thing that could make me happy right now and cheer me up. She's a bitch. She laughs at him and says, oh, look at you now. You thought you were so smug and all that top shit before, but guess what, without that beauty, I guess you're not really fucking shit, huh? Ha ha ha. And you were shitting on me. Now, is this a good thing to do? No, but Tommy's a narcissistic cunt specifically because she knows, like, these niggas suck. All of these niggas suck. And she hates her fucking life, and she didn't ask to be born the way she was or to be a fucking, yeah. She just, like, yeah, she doesn't have healthy emotional skills. Like, God, like a decade into living, and she still is, like, yeah. You wouldn't be the most mature person either. Especially if a nigga, like, hurts your ego that fucking bad. People can get really vicious. She wanted to just have her little gotcha moment. But then guess what? The guy decides to kidnap her, take her home, and then start torturing her out of spite and shit. Very fucked up, very pathetic, very lame. And another story of her, like, there's this comic with her called Hair, where like she's just where basically, to sum it up, she's just walking around in public and like this dude who's like an older married man tries to get her attention. All she does is reject him. It doesn't even say she did it viciously, she just rejected him. And this man who was so called in love with her happily murdered her and kept all her hair in a box just to like huff it, sniff it, feel it, and like admire it. His daughter finds the box and also admires it, but he also is like, huh, why does my dad have a box of a random woman's hair? Is he cheating on my mother? And like that comic actually is one of my favorite, and I actually hope I can make a short film out of it one day because it's really great. Because it also is a plot point where her friend finds out about the box. She's like, oh my god, this hair is so nice. She pulls a strand of hair out the box and she's like, wouldn't this look great on me if I had this hair instead of my nappy ass curls? And she holds the little silky little Japanese curl hair, and then she's just like, oh, wouldn't I look so good with this hair? But then the hair attaches to her head and she can't pull it off, and she's like, what the fuck? And then like they try to cut the hair, but it regrows longer. And then the best friend is like, hey, out of curiosity, let's try cutting out more of the hair. They cut up more of the hair. It expands. The box gets even more bigger and flooded with Tomie's beautiful silken hair. The friend is like, can I borrow some of this hair? And then guess what? She comes to school the next day with a luscious head of hair growing out of her head. She no longer has hair that looks similar to mine. She has like really long, like Japanese Nicki Minaj type hair. She got that Japanese yaki. I know that's right. And then as for the other girl, the main character, she does something different with the hair. She connects the hair to her mind just to see, because she starts, and then she starts having weird dreams and kind of like psychosis around Tomie. And it's a layered comic that I'm trying to fully explain myself, but I want to finally wrap up this video. I will just say it's like, I find it interesting how like as the story progresses, it's like the dad obsessed with Tomie to the point of wanting to kill her because he was obsessed with her beauty and obtaining her as a person. But he also didn't truly care about her as a person. He just wanted her beauty. The friend who actually adopts Tomie's full head of hair ends up dying because the hair strangles her and suffocates her, because deep down the friend really was just trying to chase after the idea of being like Tomie, the idea of being beautiful and attainable and chaseable and likable and admirable in the same way that Tomie was, because she craves femininity and to be liked by others in a society that values femininity while also like demonizing it, but will also demonize you worse if you don't like really make yourself seem valuable by being like the ideal feminine. And then, so it's like you'll be punished if you are the ideal feminine, just like Tomie was. You'll be threatened or harassed and stalked and raped and beaten and mistreated and manipulated, all because people see you as beautiful and they want you. And that's disturbing. But at the same time, if you aren't, you will be cast aside and treated badly just the fucking same. In a different way. Same coin, different side. It's very fucked up. I've dealt with both sides. Both sides are fucked up. Some people just really don't want to get to know a woman at their core. And then finally, the daughter. I guess one can debate if she was truly trying to like talk to Tomie and get to know Tomie and like think how Tomie thinks and learn more about her as a person in a way other people can't. Like actually trying to get to know more about this mysterious woman. And if I do recall correctly, she actually was able to talk and communicate with Tomie's spirit that way, from attaching her hair all over her forehead. But, in other ways, one can also say, ooh, she was also just obsessed with the idea of Tomie. She just wanted to look at Tomie more and always have constant access to Tomie in her thoughts, kind of like a tulpa, and just always obsess over it endlessly, endlessly, endlessly. Also, I guess to tie it in, also what I liked about the Pearl movie is that it showed like how you can be demonized if you aren't the perfect feminine. Like Pearl does this amazing dance sequence and then just they reject her not because of her dancing, just because they're like, "Hey, you're not blonde and you could be younger." And then you know who gets the role instead? Allegedly is Mitzi, like Pearl's best friend, basically. Gets the role because she's young and blonde and pretty. Pearl is also those things, but then she takes out her anger on Mitzi when she should have taken out her anger on, like, basically the people who couldn't cast her, who were, like, doing the audition or anything. Anyway. Yeah, to tie up this video, and also to sum up the Tomie thing, I'm obsessed with her story because it just kind of shows, like, hey, Tomie gets a lot in her life because she's self-preserving. So even if she's narcissistic, egocentric, and sometimes like brash and vile and fucked up, everyone still wants her because she's classy, she's charismatic, she has a charm to her, and she always stands up for what she wants and always asks for what she wants, so she will always get what she wants. She's just like Toni Childs and Gabrielle Solis in this way. Gabrielle Solis also went through a fucking lot as a kid too, like from Desperate Housewives. Gabrielle Solis' character was molested as a kid and raped by her stepdad for years, and it took a lot for her to escape. So it makes sense that when she did escape that household, she was obsessed with men with money because they could access her to a life far, far away from the life of poverty and sexual abuse that she suffered all her childhood. And also, of course, if you want to escape from people who are abusive and fucked up, and like you're gonna have to date people who are rich and wealthy and do whatever you can and utilize your beauty and your looks to get as far ahead in life as you can. I just sympathize really hard with the fact that as a woman, you can get punished for a lot of things. You can try your best to be perfect and still not be seen as enough and still be replaced with someone else or still be compared to someone else. You can try your hardest to achieve your goals, but it won't stop someone from trying to like take you off track just because they're like obsessed with you or insecure themselves or this or that. The world is a very scary place for women and very, very fucked up. We're constantly wanted, but also treated like we're fucking hated. And it's such a disturbing, like, cognitive dissonance that's just always present. Everyone's obsessed with the idea of a woman, but no one actually wants a woman to be around in their circles. No one wants to actually treat them right. It's just strange. And it's sad. And how are you supposed to exist in the limbo? Let's just say the people who usually succeed most in this limbo are the ones who have an ego and are morally gray, or sometimes just straight up corrupt. They succeed because, just like the rest of the world, they have decided, you know what? I'm going to persevere whether everyone else likes it or not. The world's a corrupt fucking place, and I'm gonna get corrupt with it if it means I can fucking survive in it because I don't deserve this treatment and I deserve better. Not everyone makes it. Some people suffer, some people get misguided because you're not in a society that wanted to guide you to a safe place. They guided you into hell, and you fought your way out with the tools you had, and you may have accidentally jumped out of the fire and into a frying pan in the process. It happens. But I don't know. That's why I love reading about like morally gray characters and women. Like another one is the Serpent Queen. If you've watched that show on Stars, it's a great fucking show. But I'm going to give you a massive spoiler. It basically ends the entire first season. she's at this point where like she keeps trying to get pregnant because that's her only thing, and she knows if I don't get pregnant by this prince who keeps fucking like my aunt or any other woman but me, then I can't bear an heir. And if I don't bear an heir because they already didn't pay out my dowry and they already most of my family is killed, and if I'm sent back to Italy, I'll be murdered by all the people who killed my fucking family members. Simply put, she knew she had to do things that were morally corrupt to survive because she was already ugly. They already didn't want her there. It was already not her culture, and she didn't have any friends. So she was fucking on any nigga she could behind the prince's back because as long as it looked vaguely like him, she would be safe and she could live in England and be safe and have power and success and be praised as the one who could continue on the prince's lineage, you know? And it would seal her position as like future queen. And then aside from that, there was a point where she made a deal with the witch, and the witch was like, "Hey, you will be put in a situation where like if you would get exactly what you want, but you would have to sacrifice someone really dear to you and make a choice." And let's just say she takes the sacrifice, so she actually kills off one of her biggest friends and supporters in the show. And she kills that nigga off, and he gets fucking quartered. Like, they tie that nigga to, like, one of those big machines where they, like, have rope on all of your limbs, and so you can see his, like, arms fly off, legs fly off. It's a painful way to go out. But she sacrificed him, because deep down she knew, otherwise I'm gonna be the one to die. But everything did work out, because then she, in that process, like, let's just say, like, she killed the guy who was stopping her man, the prince, from becoming official king and was going to be a tyrant. So her man becomes king, and then she also becomes queen, and then she's also pregnant. So she goes from like even worse than the bottom of the food scale. Like, people actively want her dead and don't care if they, like, people are trying to assassinate her because it's easier than keeping her around the castle as like a pest, to like now she's the most powerful person there because she made a sacrifice. Sometimes as a woman you have to do that. You have to make sacrifices. You have to not be afraid of what people think of you. You have to be okay with people being afraid of you or hating you, because no offense, they probably would have hated you anyway. You do what feels right for you, and you try your fucking best, and you try to never give up. And we all had fucked up situations and circumstances. Some of us like do our best with them, some of us don't, but I just resonate with it so well because with the ones who failed, I see parts of me that thought I would not make it out the other side alive. And it could have just easily been me if I had a slightly worse parent, or if I had some men who I like met sooner or stayed with longer. Like, it could have easily been me, and I see myself in almost every woman. And in the most successful women, even the narcissistic ones with egos, I still think, you know what, I'm inspired to be like you, because you're not afraid to ask what you want and do what you want and get what you want, and you're perfect, even in the eyes of everybody, no matter how fucked up you are. All right, thank you, goodbye.